Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at 7 whiskeys that I do not regret buying. Run that video. Alright then folks, before we get into today's video, quick couple of housekeeping things here. We've updated some of the FAQs for the free giveaway down in the description below, so definitely check that out after today's video. If you don't already know, and I've been pimping this quite a lot here, we are doing a free 5,000 subscriber giveaway. And so far, the bottles that we have available are these 4. We have the Willet 4-year rye, the Old Forester Barrel and Single Barrel, Early Times Bottled in Bond, the Black Top Brown Foreman, and then Well OWA. We will be adding 2 more bottles. The next bottle is going to be coming up at 4,500. Then the last one at 5,000. Then we'll do a 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So make sure you read some of the questions that you guys had that I put down in the description. If you want to be able to be in with a chance to get one of these bottles, A, you have to be a subscriber, and B, you have to go over to the Whiskey Cove's website. The link is in the description, and then sign up for your free, completely free entry. So let's get these out of here, and then let's get on with the show. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us out here and helps us get closer to that 5,000 subscriber mark, which is what I'm sure we all want to get to. So today's video, I should say, is all about 7 whiskeys that I don't regret buying at all. And obviously there's a lot of whiskey around me here, and there's a lot of whiskey that I don't regret buying. But these 7 whiskeys are somewhat debatable, I guess you could say, in a way. Some folks don't like them at all. Some folks might say they're a little bit overpriced. So the kind of ones that are on the fence a little bit, if you like. But for me personally, I don't regret buying any one of them. So let's dive straight into this video. So the first bottle, it comes from one of the more divided distilleries, if you like. This distillery gets more heat than probably any distillery out there, if you like. Companies or distilleries source from them, and some of the stuff that they source from this distillery are really great stuff. One of those companies is Blue Note, who they used to source their 9 and 10-year bourbons from this place, and then they also source their 17-year Blue Note, which I have back here. This one isn't so good because it's one of the lower proof ones. The distillate from this distillery is always better, 50% ABV or above. So with that being said, the first number 1 bottle that I don't regret buying, that's going to be Dickel. It's from Dickel, you know, a very divided distillery. A lot of people don't like Dickel products because they kind of have this Flintstone vitamin, but I've never tried Flintstone vitamin. I was never brought up on that. And flavors in whiskeys, much like cuisine in general, always by association. So I've never tried that, and I don't really pick up any off notes in this. So the bottle that we're talking about today is the Dickel Tennessee Single Barrel Whiskey, and this is the 15-year. They only ever do these 15 years in single barrels to stores, and they range from 40% ABV, 80 proof, up until 52.3% or 104.6 proof. I think that's the highest I've seen, and definitely if you can find these, get them 50% ABV or above, because I've tried the lower proof ones and there's just nothing special at all. But these higher proof ones, the 50% ABV and above, are really, really great whiskey, if you ask me, and really great value for money. We like to be frivolous and frugal here on the Whiskey Cove, and we don't mind buying expensive bottles of whiskey, but let's not get ripped off here. Let's be smart about how we spend our hard-earned money. So again, this is a single barrel product, so there will be some variations between batches, and then it's a 15-year age statement, and I paid $55 for this. You never see this bottle of whiskey marked up. Production has slowed down a little bit on these. I don't see them as much as I used to. Don't confuse these with the kind of like the beige label that they have there, like that 8 and 9-year-old. They're not good whiskey, but however, for the most part, the whiskey in these bottles is excellently priced. You get that age statement. Yes, it's not a bourbon, it's a Tennessee whiskey. So you might have some sweeter, charcoaly type, good caramel type notes, and you have a little bit of spice in this. So it's an all-round excellent aged whiskey, and a really great whiskey, I would say, for someone who's starting out to drink whiskey, because it's quite approachable for a higher proof whiskey. And then you also have a 15-year age statement, and if there's something that you don't like, you're not spending too much money, around $50 to $60, and it looks pretty good on the shelf. I've always liked these bottles there. So that was the first bottle, the Dickel 15 single barrels. Like I said, $55 I paid for that, which is insane value for money. So going from a very divided or divisive distillery into one of the bottles, or a very divided bottle out there in the whiskeyverse. And of course, this list would not be complete without Horsey, and that is Blanton's. So Blanton's is completely, it's almost like the gold standard of dividing people in the whiskey world. A lot of folks will tell you, and again, I'm just regurgitating the information that's on the internet, that the juice in this bottle is not great, it's just not worth the money. But I think that lends towards it's just not worth the money that people would pay on secondary. If you can get these for MSRP, you're probably looking to be paying about $50 to $60, which is right in that same bracket as the Dickel there. But however, the problem with these is they get marked up all the time. There's a lot of fanfare about the bottle, because let's be honest, it is a beautiful bottle. The horse is pretty cool there as well. Marketing, branding is just on point. It looks like a grenade, somewhat, I guess. ABV on this, I think it's like 46% ABV. Or 90 proof. I can never find the ABV on Blanton bottles like straight off the bat. I don't know why. I don't spend long enough looking at them, but I think it's 46.5% ABV. It's actually pretty good juice overall, what I think personally, and it's because it's a single barrel product. Again, there might be some every so often that is just okay juice, but for the most part, for $50 to $60, I think it's excellent value for money. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful bottle. It looks good on the shelves. It's a good showpiece for people to come around and they don't necessarily drink whiskey. You bring out the Blantons and people are like, "Ooh, look at this excellently beautiful looking bottle." And most of the stuff when it comes, most of the flavors when it comes to whiskey, or how good people rate whiskey who don't drink whiskey, comes from appearance here and maybe a story that you can tell them. So, like Pokemon, you can catch them all with the toppers there as well. I don't drink Blantons that much. I only have this one and some smaller stumpier pints here, but I do have the Blanton's Golds, which I picked up recently, which I need to do a review on. But I don't regret buying this at all. I never will at MSRP. I guess it just is when it gets up to the secondary prices. So that was bottle number 2. And then kind of staying with the Buffalo Trace umbrella, this bottle is kind of similar to Blanton's in a way. It's quite a divided bottle, but I think it's kind of misunderstood. It gets a bad reputation, but it's not the bottle's fault. It's just the people that impose that reputation onto the bottle, and that is Weller Special Reserve. So Weller Special Reserve is not a bad bourbon. It's a wheated bourbon, and it's not a bad wheated bourbon at that. The only problem with this bottle, if you like, is that it always gets matched up to the other Wellers that are on the lineup, and of course, those are like double to triple to quadruple the MSRP of this Weller Special Reserve. So expectedly, it's not going to be that good. But for a standalone bourbon, it's going to be, I really like it. I think it's approachable. It's what I like to call a school night whiskey. If you like, you can pick it up any day of the week, and then you can still feel fine after having a few pours the next day. 45% ABV on 90 proof. I actually don't think that there's too much difference between this Weller Special Reserve and the Weller Single Barrel Orange Label. That's me personally saying in that. When we did the blind of the whole Weller lineup, this came really close to the Weller Single Barrel. However, like I said, a lot of people, they say it's not very good just because they're kind of matching it up to the other Wellers. However, like I said, as a standalone product, I think that it's pretty solid, a great everyday whiskey, and it is a wheated bourbon at $30. Kind of in that Maker's Mark category, but I think this is probably a little bit better than Maker's Mark. Maybe somewhere between Maker's Mark and Maker's 46, in between that there as well, which both run up to about $30 to $40, $25 to $35 probably in that price bracket. And this is about $25 to $30 as well, so it's right alongside those other two whiskeys. So that was Weller Special Reserve as bottle number 3. So then bottle number 4, and I think this whiskey might get a not so good reputation just because of the price, and sometimes I hear that people don't really have a good experience with some of the juice in the bottle because they like to say that it is over oaked, not high enough ABV that's in the bottle, and that is going down to heaven and hell, and that is Elijah Craig 18. So I've talked a little bit about this Elijah Craig 18 on the channel quite a lot, and I really like Elijah Craig 18. I think when I first got this whiskey, I wasn't a big fan whatsoever. But I feel like every drop that I've had from this bottle, it's just got better and better and better. Just like a bouquet of flowery cherry notes, honeysuckle. And yes, you do get a solid wood backbone. And I do need to premise this by saying I do like aged whiskey, bourbon specifically. I like the older notes that come with bourbon, the dustier church pew type notes, as long as it has a little bit of sweetness and spice to balance it out. And I think that this bottle does have it. I could potentially see why people don't like it if they're not into aged bourbon, because aged bourbon can turn to very bitter juice, I guess, if you like, at a certain age, which is why a lot of people who have had the fortunate or the luck of being able to try the Pappy Van Winkle series as a whole will tell you that the 23 and the 20 are not the best ones. It's probably the 15-year-old Pappy that's the sweet spot. But for me, this is an excellent bottle of whiskey. I have a backup. It is a single barrel again, so there will be some variations. The only drawback is that you're going to be paying around $170 for a 45% ABV whiskey. So that's something that you kind of have to look at your own budget and see if that fits in there. But would I say it's worth the money? Well, yeah, I would. I bought it again, so I feel like it's worth the money because it is really great whiskey. But that also puts in context, this is an 18-year, $170 bottle. The Dickel, which is 15-year, $55 a bottle. So that shows you how competitively priced that Dickel was. However, Elijah Craig 18, I just can't get enough of this bottle. Maybe I'll have a few more of these single barrels in the next few years and I might take on a different opinion, but this one has definitely blown my socks off. That was bottle number 4. Bottle number 5, it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum here in terms of price. I wouldn't say that this bottle necessarily has a terrible or bad reputation. It's just a cheap, playful bottle, if you like. It kind of has a pretty good reputation for what it is. And that is because this bottle is Heaven Hill's Mellow Corn. Not a bourbon, it's a corn whiskey. Why folks like this? I feel like it has those typical like corny, popcorny notes that you would associate with some bourbons, but the sweetness just comes through in abundance. It's got to be like one of the lightest whiskeys. It's almost like single malt color. It does look really yellow, and I'm sure that's just the label playing tricks against the light on me here, but it is so light. And much like the Weller Special Reserve, this is kind of like an everyday bourbon, or I shouldn't say bourbon, everyday corn whiskey. It is bonded as well, so 50% ABV or 100 proof, aged in one warehouse by one distiller over one distilling series, and we know it must be at least 4 years. So at least 4 years, bottled in bond product for like $18, $19, probably cheaper than that, depends on where you live. And it also has some really nice, interesting flavors there as well. Nothing really too off-putting, just a pleasant, sweeter sipper there as well. It does have this interesting banana-looking plastic top. Nothing says premium, just quite like a plastic top, right? You don't want to leave these on their side or upside down because that plastic is just going to get eaten away by the alcohol. And you definitely do not want those plastics in your drinking whiskey. However, that was bottle number 5, and that was Mellow Corn. The bottle everybody loves to love, I guess. So then we are down by 2 bottles, and these are going to be the 2 most expensive on this list. So one of the reasons why they are on this list is because they are the most expensive here. So the penultimate bottle, the last but one, it's going to be Jack Daniel's Sinatra. So I don't regret buying this bottle, but I also don't feel the price tag as maybe someone else out there who would have paid $170 to $200, which is where you're at on the price range with these. I'm not feeling that price crunch as much because I traded 2 Eagle Rest store picks for this bottle. So that cost me a grand total of probably like $80 to $90 after tax. So that's excellent value for this money. So if I paid $170 to $200, I might be a little bit more critical. I do take that into consideration as well. And I really like this whiskey. It kind of has like toasted double oaked vibes. It is a brown Foreman product, so if you're someone who likes Woodford double oaked or Old Forester 1910, then you will definitely like this. However, I just named 2 bottles that are around the $50 to $60 mark, and this is like $100 to $130 more than that. So where does the $130 come from? So first off, we have to mention this is a 1 liter bottle, so you're getting you're getting 25% more liquid here in the glass. Also as well, this bottle I should say, is a heavy mother. You could throw this as like a Molotov cocktail and you wouldn't have to worry about the fire breaking out. You just kill someone with the bottle, because that is a heavy bottle. Carry this around in self-defense. Ain't no one gonna be messing with you. It does have a really nice, beautiful regular cork on the top, but that's obviously not where the 130 is coming from. It also has this really nice box. One second, I can get that for us here. Which is here. You have this beautiful box that does come in, folds over, the bottle sits in. You have this Jack Daniel's Sinatra book. And it kind of has some photos of Sinatra, a little bit of a story there as well. And it kind of, what they were trying to achieve with this, they wanted to come up with a flavor profile that was for the man himself, Frank Sinatra, something he would have liked. Frank Sinatra used to drink his Jack Daniels with 3 fingers of Jack, 2 ice cubes, and then 1 finger of water. I don't know if this tastes similar to that. I've tried that before, and I would say this is a bit more rich. It has much more going for it. However, it is smooth in the typical amateur bourbon drinker sense that it does go down very easy. There is no nickel to no burn there. It is a little bit pricey, like I said, but I think for the story and what I use this bottle for, I use it for friends who come over, again, people who don't necessarily drink whiskey or drink bourbon much. We crack open this bottle, we talk a little bit about Frank Sinatra, well, we put some music from Frank Sinatra on, Fly Me to the Moon and Chicago. And then we just have a little chat and talk about it, read the book, and it's just a really nice way to enjoy some part of the night there as well. And again, it makes sense to people who haven't tried other whiskeys. You know, they see a recognizable label in Jack Daniel's and they see Sinatra in the box and then they think premium. So it's definitely a bottle to impress your guests. That was bottle number 6 here. We'll get this out of the way and move to bottle number 7. Okay then, so the last bottle on this list, and actually looking at these bottles here, one of the most recent ones that I picked up, or the most recent I picked up on this list. So what makes this whiskey so divided of opinions? And I think it really has to do with the price point, because it's not the juice that's in the whiskey. So when I first got this bottle, or heard about this bottle coming out, I was thinking, what makes this bottle better than some of these distillery single barrels that this distillery offers? Because this bottle is like $200 to $300 MSRP, where the single barrels that this distillery put out were about $60 to $80. So I thought, you know, is this that much of a difference really? The ABV is kind of similar. This new one's a small batch, the other one's a single barrel, so is there a difference? And lo and behold, there was a massive difference. We did a review on this bottle and we give it a very, very high score, 95 out of 100. And those who watch the channel know exactly what bottle I'm talking about, and that is the Russell's Reserve Single Rickhouse. So without trying this bottle, I was pretty hard on it, like I just said. With the Russell Reserve Single Barrel I had, it was an 11 year. I believe this is somewhere in the region of about 11 to 13 years old. I paid $300 MSRP, so I ended up coming out to the store $325 paid. So I was very nervous with this bottle, and I hadn't looked at reviews and how good or bad this was, because I don't like to do that until I can try it. And I can tell you 95 out of 100 kind of means something. So sweet, so well balanced, so what I really like about whiskey is a nice bit of proof, age, balance of spice, sweet, and then oak as well. And this bottle definitely has it all. It definitely blows the socks off any of the other Russell's offerings that I've ever had to date. But like I said, $325 is definitely a bitter pill to swallow. I don't regret getting this bottle of whiskey at all. Would I buy it again? I would not. And I know that they just released the new style Camp Nelson Rickhouses with like a lighter label. And I'm definitely not going to be chasing that, because if you're going to be buying one of those a year, you're going to run up some bills in your whiskey collection, or your whiskey spending, so to speak, here as well. So that was bottle number 7. So these are the 7 bottles, and altogether I think I probably paid close to about $700 to $800 for 7 bottles of whiskey. We've done some videos on the channel where we've spent $300 and we have about 7 bottles of whiskey. they weren't this good. This is quite the selection. There's a lot of age on this counter, a lot of variation. We have Tennessee whiskey, we have aged whiskey, we have wheated bourbon, we have corn whiskey, we also have another Tennessee type toasted whiskey, and then an absolute hitter. So if we did the 5 bourbon red, the challenge, I think we would have an excellent selection to be able to pick from here. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. And let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you think I should regret buying any of these? But I guess it's all about personal opinion. And my opinion is I don't. So that is what it is. So run that video and let's get out of here. As we drink through the world's whiskey, one glass at a time. Now run the video. Cheers.